disgusting. There's no comeback from that for me, for AJ. Have a look at that. That's
Do you know what?
good work.
I've got to say, mate, when you were boxing, it was like a beak, wasn't it? It was like a proper hook, wasn't it?
I nearly booted my television in. I was like, what is going off? What a load of rubbish.
Hello, welcome to Talk Boxing with me, Spencer Oliver. We have reached episode number 34, and guess what? Simon Jordan has disappeared for a few weeks. So I'm thinking to myself, we need a boxing legend, someone with a little bit of knowledge, someone with a legacy. And I found the person. Before we get to that, don't forget to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and write your comments in the boxes below. So let me introduce Mr. Cole, the Cobra Froch. Cole, how you doing, mate?
I'm all good, mate. You?
Yeah, good, mate. It's nice. It's refreshing, actually, to be working with you and not Simon Jordan.
Why is that?
Well, apparently he thinks he's got more knowledge than you and you're wrong on a lot of stuff. But I thought you might put him right on a few things.
You never said that.
I'm only saying what he said,
He's
mate.
great. He's great at what he does. He's obviously never boxed, never laced them up, and it's important to have someone who's been in the ring with the gloves on and tasted the blood, the sweat, and the tears. But Simon Jordan, I'm a big fan. I'm not playing along with this, giving Simon Jordan any stick at all.
Listen, Simon's
but
a good guy.
If he beats me at paddle, because we're having a little game of paddle, then I might change my opinion of him.
Cole, we've got to start with Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. I mean, a lot of controversy surrounding this one. Ngannou's first fight. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I've got to stand by what I said on my immediate reaction, which was, it's a load of and I don't like to be too overcritical of anything around boxing, but as a boxing fan, which is what I am first and foremost, I enjoy boxing, I enjoy watching it, I enjoy the big fights. I've got absolutely zero interest in Tyson Fury fighting Ngannou. I've just got no interest at all.
But apparently they've had a lot of problems trying to find a credible opponent. I mean, like people like Frankie Sanchez come to mind, even Martin Bakole. But they said they tried to get who was it, Ruiz as well. That fight fell through for whatever reason. And Francis Ngannou.
Not buying any of it. Load of rubbish. This is all about the money.
Yeah.
Let's just cut to
You
the
think
chase.
it's just a money fight?
Of course it is. It's a big
And
money
a
fight.
no risk fight, to be fair. I mean, let's have it right. Tyson Fury wins that fight easily, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Zero risk. And that's the problem. As a heavyweight, WBC heavyweight champion of the world, arguably the best heavyweight we've had in years, a guy who could probably mix it in other eras as well, Tyson Fury. I don't think there's anybody that beats him.
Do you think there was an opponent around that he could have boxed then in the top 10 for say?
I think the
example?
fight with Usyk could have been made.
Yeah.
He's talking 70-30 that was put out there, then it come back, and then he threw
Well, I
another
think
spanner in the
Frank
works
said
with a
that it was
rematch.
actually skills challenge in the Saudis that weren't ready for December when this fight was. And Tyson Fury obviously needed to be active because he hasn't boxed for a while. They wanted a tick-over fight, a warm-up fight. They were talking about Wembley. They were talking about Andy Ruiz. They tried him. Ruiz outpriced himself.
Yeah.
So Frank was saying the Saudis were not in a position to make that fight in December. We needed to go. Frank's gone to a different organisation out in Saudi.
Yeah.
And Francis Ngannou's come up. It's a big fight. It's a bit of a fun fight, if I'm totally honest. But let's have it right.
It's an
a
exhibition.
crossover. Yeah, but Cole, won't it get massive numbers? Do you think
It
it'll
might get massive numbers. It might make a lot of money. I think apparently the Saudis want to pay big money for it, so that's fine. But just say it how it is. Call it for what it is.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury's going to fight Ngannou, which it looks like he is. Just come out and say, listen, it's not a boxing match. It's not a professional fight. This guy's probably got no chance, but we're going to have a bit of fun. It's going to be an exhibition type. This guy's a mixed martial artist. Comes from the UFC background. So he obviously can't box. We see that with McGregor against Mayweather.
Do you think they're trying to sell it wrong then? You think they're trying to sell it as a competitive fight?
If they were just honest and said, look, there's nothing happening. We need to keep Fury active. We need and make him money. He's a prize fighter. No one's going to begrudge a prize fighter for making money. Certainly not us. I mean, we come from the same sport as him. And if you can make big money, you're going to take the big fights that pay the best. That's what you're in the sport for. But don't say it's a big fight. Like Frank Warren, I think that's the problem, what I had, the beef with it, that I had. It's not with Tyson Fury. I've been on Tyson Fury. He sent me a message saying, listen, it's about the money. It's the biggest fight in heavyweight boxing. That's what he said to me.
Yeah. And
it's like, you're going to be getting paid more now for this fight than any other fight you would have taken. So you're telling me that that's a bigger fight than you fighting Usyk? And he's like, yeah, it's a bigger fight. I'm getting paid more than what I would have got. I'm like, you know what?
So from the business point of view, yeah.
Business point of view, it makes sense. You can totally understand it. But don't tell us the game's changing. Don't tell us it's the best thing to happen to boxing in ages.
Yeah.
And don't get us excited. when I listened to Frank Warren saying the game's changed and he wouldn't tell anybody what was happening, like an idiot, I was like a kid about to go in a sweet shop thinking, what's he got for us? I wonder what he's going to... And then when I found out, I nearly booted my television in, like Mickey when Apollo Creed was giving Rocky some stick. I nearly booted my television in. I was like, what is going off? What a load of rubbish.
But do you think...
I was disappointed.
That Frank saying it was a game changer, now this is where I think it was, that I don't think he was actually talking about that fight. I think he was talking about when he was talking about game changers, with the deal that he's done in Saudis with a different organisation out in Saudi. He said, well, so it's obviously giving a lot more fighters a lot more opportunity, like this Fury and Ngannou fight. Like you say, they're making a colossal amount of money, and you know it is prize fighting. It's about, I mean, it's not going to affect his legacy in the long run. Listen, because I think we still get the fights. Do you still? I think we get Tyson Fury versus Usyk. I think we probably do get Tyson Fury versus Joshua.
We need a unification, an undisputed heavyweight champion. It needs to be in the form of a British fighter, and this is why I'd like Anthony Joshua to do well. Contrary to anybody else's beliefs on how I feel about Anthony Joshua, and I've got some sort of problem with him because he's not with Rob McCracken anymore, and people say he sacked Rob McCracken. What I'd say to that is actually it might have been a mutual agreement and a mutual parting. Maybe if Rob McCracken sacked AJ. You know, people don't know the inside story and what was going off on the build-up to the first Usyk fight. And then in the rematch, obviously, it didn't go any better for him, did it, AJ? He still got beat. So don't think that I've got some sort of personal vendetta with Anthony Joshua because of the Rob McCracken things. I couldn't care less. If Rob McCracken's, if Anthony Joshua doesn't think Rob McCracken's working for him, he's done the right thing in changing trainers and trying to move on, refresh his mind, maybe get a new outlook in the training gym, maybe look at some different ideas, and just give it his refresh. Now, where is he? He's out in Dallas, is he?
Yeah, he's out in Dallas now. So training under Derek James.
Yeah, so he's changed it up totally, which hopefully will be a good thing for AJ.
You said, I saw you saying in an interview the other day that you feel that he hasn't done enough yet to create a legacy with what he's done and what he's achieved. But I mean, you think of the Klitschko victory, what he went through, the mental health and everything else. I mean, that was inspirational for a lot of people, and the way that he come back. I mean,
after he beat Vladimir Klitschko, which was a great win, he was kind of at the top of the wave, one of the crest of the wave. He's now heavyweight champion of the world, and then didn't do anything. He went on a bender, put a load of weight on. And then he went through this mental health issues that he was very open and honest about. He came back, and then he had his trilogy with Deontay Wilder. So to come back from that, and the couple of, was it 2 or 3 years layoff he had? Yeah. To then come back and have that trilogy with Wilder. I know he had a couple of fights before that, but then he jumped in with Wilder when nobody thought he was going to fight Wilder. And what was it? Draw, then two. Just 3 great fights, 2 wins. And he deserves a lot of praise and a lot of respect and credit, and he smashed it, and it was brilliant. And he fought the most feared heavyweight puncher in world boxing. He's not that big, is he, Deontay Wilder?
Yeah.
He punches hard. But anyway, he deserves massive credit and massive respect for that. But people ask me, because I'm now in the Hall of Fame, I don't know if you know, I didn't bring the ring today. I should have had that on, really.
I know,
I should have had the Hall of Fame ring.
I'm a little bit disappointed you ain't got it on.
I know, I should have bought it. I was a bit rushed coming down here. But people say to me, has he had a Hall of Fame career? And they're obviously asking a Hall of Famer if he's had a Hall of Fame career. And I don't want to just give stick and give criticism because I'm a Hall of Famer. I know you sit there and you think, oh dear, I wonder what it's like to be a Hall of Famer. I can see it in your eyes.
No, but I don't know.
Fury's best win.
You've got to remember, I'm a Hall of Famer's mate. That's all you
need. That's all you need.
That's big.
And I'll lend you the ring whenever you need it.
Big.
You can wear that ring.
Well, we could talk about our time out in Saudi as well. I mean, I thought that it was going to be the end for both of us.
I had you back.
I thought it was going to be the end for both of us.
Didn't have a back, did they?
It's another story. We'll have to get into that another time.
Another story. But no, the Klitschko win and then the trilogy with Deontay Wilder. To answer your question, that probably doesn't cement your legacy.
Yeah.
He needs to fight and beat Usyk, and we still want to see him fight AJ, but I don't want to give AJ any stick, but beating AJ doesn't prove anything. The Usyk fight's the big one.
Yeah. Where do you see Fury, like, you know, coming out of all this? Like, if we get those fights on with Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, Tyson Fury, AJ, do you see him victorious in them?
I do, yes. If he's at his best, you never know where they are mentally and what they've been preparing like physically. But if Anthony Joshua turns up 100%, don't forget he's getting old now. What is he? 35. He's getting on to the point where you say, right, okay, and he's got that body type as well, which holds weight. You're either skinny or you're big or you're medium. He's one of the big guys that holds a lot of body fat. And he works with it, and he loses a bit of weight, and he still gets behind his jab, and still gets light on his feet, and he's still able to put combination punches together, and he still punches hard, as we saw with the uppercut that hit Dillian Whyte on the chin. So he's got all the physical attributes that you need to dominate for me in any era.
Yeah.
So he is one of the best. So I'm not going to say he's not a Hall of Famer, but he needs to fight Usyk, because Usyk beat AJ twice conclusively, and AJ was the big fight that we all wanted to see. If Tyson Fury never fights Alexander Usyk, to me his legacy is not cemented.
Understood.
Probably might be in the general public. It might be in people who don't understand boxing like we understand, like boxing. People who have boxed and people who love the game. But unless he fights Usyk, mate, forget it, because we need to see that fight.
Did you see the interview on Saturday night? It was Gareth A. Davis and Adam Catchall. They had Frank Warren on. Did you see that interview?
I watched quite a bit of that.
What did you make of that?
I thought that Frank Warren again was like getting all animated and overexcited and offended too easily to the criticism of the latest announcement of his joke shop fight with Fury and Ngannou, because it's not a game changer. It's ludicrous. It's rubbish. We've seen it all before with Mayweather and McGregor. We know that a top cage fighter or mixed martial artist or UFC fighter, whatever you want to call them, we know they can't go in the boxing ring. And it's nothing against them, because I'm Conor McGregor. People don't think I'm a fan of Conor McGregor either. If I can get the fight with McGregor all day long, but get him in that boxing ring, do you know what I mean? Because the cage is a totally different place for different animals. Ngannou, I'm sure, could take Tyson Fury to the ground in the cage and choke him out in 30 seconds. But in a boxing ring, he doesn't belong in there. He just doesn't. So let's just call this for what it is.
Do you think it's a one-sided fight? Yeah. He's got no chance. Ngannou's got no chance.
I don't think he's even got a puncher's chance. No. He's not going to be able to hit him, is he?
I'm going to flip this. If you was Tyson Fury and this fight was offered to you on this table at this stage of your career, with what's going on, with the landscape of heavyweight boxing right now, would you have taken this fight?
If it's the biggest money fight, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the answer.
Yeah, if it's the biggest money fight, yes. So, like I said, I haven't got a problem with Tyson Fury. I haven't got a problem with this fight as it is. I've got a problem with Frank Warren telling us it's a game changer and it was a big disappointment. That's all it was. Old Bricktop giving us that nonsense. It's not. For me, it's not good enough.
Well, listen, let's move on to another heavyweight title fight that's happening sooner, August the 12th. Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte, the rematch. That's a high-risk fight for Joshua at this stage of his career. Where he's at, mentally, psychologically. What do you think of it?
It's a big risk for Fury. For Anthony Joshua taking on Dillian Whyte, but it's a risk, in my opinion, that he has to take.
But he was the one that actually called for it, because I think Eddie Hearn didn't want it. Yeah. I'm not sure that Skills Challenge wanted it. They wanted him to go into this fight with Deontay Wilder, because that's what's on the table. If he loses to Dillian Whyte, that money's gone. That big money fight's gone. I mean, so it is a high risk for Joshua against Dillian, because Dillian's surely going to roll the dice and go, recognise this is my last opportunity. Yeah, and let's not get carried away. It's a high risk fight, but stylistically, these styles make fights and all that. Yeah, but what I was going to say was, it's not a mega fight, is it? It's a fight, it's a rematch. No, it's just a high-risk fight. It's a rematch. It's not for a world title. So there's no world titles on the line. It's a rematch, and it's against two guys who have been beaten quite badly and quite conclusively. Yeah. So there's people I talk to that say they're washed up. They're past the best. And I'm making a case and saying, I can see why you think AJ's past his best, but I think he's still got more to come. If he can sort his head out. Credit for it? Dillian Whyte, the way he lost against Fury, that uppercut, and the build-up to getting beat, in that fight, he didn't do anything. He looked lazy. He looked undermotivated. And then the fight with Jermaine Franklin was just like, what's going off? So these are two guys that I can understand when people say these are two washed-up guys fighting on a box office event for no world titles. What a load of rubbish. That's fine. That's your opinion on that, and I get that. But it's still a risky fight for AJ because of where AJ is with his career. Yeah. So the quality of the fight and what's at stake in terms of world titles to one side, what is at stake for Anthony Joshua is his future in the heavyweight boxing division. Yeah. If he loses to Dillian Whyte, that has to be curtains on his career. I think Dillian Whyte can come again. He's lost to AJ again, and he's got other, depending on how he gets beat. But for Anthony Joshua, it's a great fight because we know Dillian Whyte comes to win. We know there's needle in there, so Dillian Whyte's going to turn up that extra 10% and crank it up in the training camp. And it's going to be interesting to see what Anthony Joshua does. Is he going to sit behind the jab and try and box a move and keep out of harm's way and try and do what he's done in his last 2 or 3 fights? Or is he going to actually stand and have a go? I don't expect him to stand in front and have a swing up straight away from round 1. But I'm saying after round 4 or 5, when you start to get tired and you start to get flat-footed and you stay in range a little bit longer and you start to exchange the blows, is he going to step backwards and try and tie Whyte up and turn away and duck low and look like he's looked in his last 2 fights where I've not been impressed because he looks like he's tentative, he's got no tenacity, he's got no aggression, he doesn't come forward, he doesn't throw combination punches. So is he going to do that, or is he going to stand in front of Whyte when he's asked the question,
when he's tapping on the door saying, I'm still here, I'm in front of you, let's have a swing up, is he going to stand there and oblige him? Is he going to exchange blows and throw 5-6 punches? Because if he does, and he does it like he used to be able to do it, when he was a little bit greener and a bit younger and a bit naive, and he didn't quite know he's finding his feet in the pro game, then I've got to give him respect and credit if he gets the job done. Yeah, and then that sets him up for a Deontay Wilder or even a Tyson Fury. Yeah. And how exciting would that be? And
do you think that we need to see the Anthony-Joshua role where he fought with his heart on his sleeve a little bit more of that rawness and willing to roll the dice a little bit, sitting in the pocket a little bit, because that surely is his strengths, isn't it? Like, you know, trying to box at range and whatnot.
At times we need to see that. Yeah. But we don't need to see it all. Like he said the other week, he said, "Oh, do you want me to stand and have a tear up and risk everything when I can just box and box behind the jab?" Well, that don't work for you, Anthony Joshua. You tried that with Usyk and you got beat in the rematch. So you talk about defence, and we might come on to it in a bit, and he's giving Rob McCracken stick about don't teach him defence. We'll probably pick up on that. But the defence didn't work for you in the rematch of Usyk. What you need to do is you need to get on your front foot and you need to be aggressive and offensive and let them combination punches go like you used to and demolish somebody, get him out of there, get Dylan White out of there. But in this fight, I'm going to say may the best man win. I haven't got a favourite. Whether Dylan White wins or whether Anthony Joshua wins, I couldn't really care less. I've got no personal favourite in this one. But I think the guy that could potentially go on after a great performance and challenge Wilder and give us a great night against Fury would be Anthony Joshua, if he can get himself back in the mix.
Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, Anthony Joshua has been singing the praises of Derek James, his new trainer, say that, you know, he's been teaching him a lot of stuff. He said Rob McCracken was actually a great trainer, but didn't teach him defence. And he said, and that was a big problem. And he feels that actually he lost some best parts of his career, or the best years of his career, training with Robert, and he never learned any sort of defence. And he said, in there, he said actually, he mentioned your name and said, you know, you've only got to look at Cole Froch and have a look at his nose and see that Rob doesn't teach defence. Have you spoke to him about that? Have you DM'd him about that?
No. Listen, first of all, I've got to laugh. Secondly, what I'll say to that is, for a grown man to try and personally insult another grown man on his physical appearance, for me, that's a move. Yeah?
Why would he come out with that?
Well, just let him come out with that. Let him have it. And I sincerely hope he's talking about the old nose and not the newly constructed piece of artwork that I'm carrying around on my face at the minute, because I'm actually quite happy with this.
To be fair, that's a beautiful nose.
I'm quite happy with this. Yeah, I think so too. So thank you for that. So, but my nose aside and my aesthetically pleasurable features, with my new nose aside, I'm looking at this as a real dig at Robert McCracken. Yeah. This is a guy who's a master of his craft.
He said he spent too much time with the GB squad and not enough time with him, and he didn't learn the fundamentals of boxing.
I heard what he said. And Rob McCracken is a man that, first of all, got AJ out of jail. Yeah? I'm going to pause now because I'm not going to go into that, but he knows what I'm talking about. He got him out of jail, literally. So do your research, whatever you want to do for that. I'm not going to elaborate on that. He also guided him to an Olympic gold medal in 2012, yeah? Olympic champion. He's working with someone who's not a natural fighter in Anthony Joshua. He's not at that amateur pedigree as a schoolboy and as a kid coming through. So Rob McCracken's working with someone who's having to engineer and force stuff to get all the basics right. And he did a fantastic job, got him an Olympic gold medal in 2012. Then he guided him to not one, but 2 world titles. 2 world titles. And he's got the audacity and the disrespect to say that he wasted years with Rob McCracken and he didn't teach him defence. So for me, that's disgusting. There's no comeback from that for me, for AJ. I'm not going to hold it against him because he's done what he feels is right for him, and he's saying these things. He's having a little personal dig at me, which is fine. I'm a big boy. I work on building sites all my life. That's all we do. We just take the piss out of each other all day long. I've got a thick skin. He's not going to upset me, especially when I look like this. I mean, look at that side profile, Spencer. Have a look at that. That's good work.
I've got to say, mate, when you were boxing, it was like a beak, wasn't it? It was like a proper.
It was a battering ram. I used it as a battering ram to get through the opponent. Everything just bounced off it.
I've never seen a geezer retire and actually look so much better after retirement.
Has anybody's nose earned them the kind of accolades I've had.
It's unbelievable.
With that hooter.
Unbelievable.
Barging through punches.
Listen,
but anyway,
let's get back to AJ. AJ was saying last week.
It's out of order. Let me just finish. It's out of order what he said about Rob McCracken.
Yeah.
I think he'll probably regret saying what he said. I'm not going to hold it against him. I think it's properly disrespectful, really, to a guy that took him to the Olympic title and then 2 world titles.
Sure.
And to say about this defence, well, how did that defence... I mean, he's won that World Championship title, 2 titles, and the Olympic gold medal with no defence, by the way, under Rob McCracken. So he done well there with no defence. But how did that defence do him in the rematch with Usyk? How did that style get him in the rematch? It got him nowhere. What he should have done in that rematch with Usyk was stay with Rob McCracken, listen to him this time, because he didn't listen to him the first time. Do the training and the running, which not many fighters want to do. The running's horrible. It's one of the worst things I used to hate, but it's a necessary evil. And do the hard sparring. Get the hard sparring and get the running in, and you're fit and you're strong and you're as ready as you can be for a boxing match. Sparring's the closest thing you can get to fighting, but it's nothing like fighting. Sparring isn't. You know yourself. Got big gloves, got head guards, the bell goes, you can have a breather, whatever. Another sparring partner jumps in. But it's the closest thing you can get to it. And if Anthony Joshua was not putting himself through the hard sparring, which I know he wasn't, just because I know, then that's the kind of results you get.
When you say Anthony Joshua didn't listen, what do you mean by that?
Well, just said it there. He didn't listen to Rob McCracken. Rob McCracken saying to him, I want you to do this run, I want you to do that run, I need you to turn up for training at this time, and I need you to do this sparring.
He would do his own
started to take
sort of
control
stuff?
of his own camp.
Okay.
Started to surround himself with yes men, and then Rob McCracken started to then say, listen, this ain't going to work. And that's how that's how their relationship ended. Anthony Joshua was responsible for the way that relationship ended with Rob McCracken.
Was it Rob McCracken's game plan against Usyk to try and box Usyk as opposed to going in there and bullying him and roughing him up? Because that's probably the way that he would have beat him.
You know, this game plan, this tactics, and what you can't...
Yeah, it was an unusual performance from Joshua, as in, like, he was standing up and let this guy, that when he gets into a rhythm, Usyk, we know what he's like, when he's hard to break that rhythm because he's a beautiful boxer. He's a great boxer. So you got to go in there. I think Chisora showed the blueprint on how to beat him, rough him up, not let him get into his rhythm and take it to him. Surely that was the tactics for Joshua going into that one.
You can have tactics and game plans in boxing matches. And I'm talking from someone who's had 12 world titles, 12 world title fights back to back with the best of the best.
Yeah.
And you have a game plan. Do you have a game plan going in? Yes, of course you have a game plan going in. But that game plan's probably as simple as, am I going to box and move, or am I going to stand in front of this guy and have a fight with him? So the game plan with Pascal, for me and for Rob, was to try and break his heart, take it to him. Same with Lucien Butte. When I took it to him, awkward southpaw, coming away from home, away from Canada. Let's get in there and let's put him under pressure. But if you walk into a left cross counter southpaw hand and you get wobbled in round 1, all of a sudden that game plan of take it to him and bash him up, it's gone. You've got to rip the script up, and then you've got to start again. So you can't have a game plan that's going to just work every time. So what I'm getting here...
Was he a great tactician, Rob? Let me say that. You had a great career with him.
I think so, but any game plan you've got going into the fight also has to evolve during the fight. And it's the good fighters that are able to change the fight after a round or two.
Adaptability.
And that's what Usyk can do. Look at him against Tony Bellew. For 4 or 5 rounds, Bellew was actually boxing a little bit like Prince Nassim Ahmed. He was being sharp with the jab, ducking low, throwing uppercuts, keeping out of the way, throwing loads of feints, but he exhausted himself. Usyk didn't think, right, I've got to stay with him here and punch away and try and do the same. Usyk just sat behind his jab and thought, you won't be doing that for 12 rounds. I'll have a little round. You carry on, because he's that brilliant. And then he changed it up. As soon as Bellew started to breathe heavy and started to get tired, Usyk was like, all right, I've got you now. Now you're in trouble. Started to back him up. So this game plan and this tactics and blaming Rob McCracken on the wrong tactics, the wrong game plan, you can't blame any trainer. You'll have a slight tactic going into the fight. And that might be when I boxed Abraham, to box and move and keep out his way because you don't want to get caught with that big right hand. And you're going to outbox this guy. But then you start throwing more punches. You let 6, 7 punch combinations go. You don't just sit behind your jab and run, because eventually you get pinned in the corner, pinned against the ropes, and then you're in a fight, in a hard fight.
It's about the fighter actually being able to adapt himself
and judging it. The fighter has got to do it.
Yeah.
The trainer's only there to guide you and to get you fit before the fight. So you can't blame the trainer. I don't get it. I don't get all this. I get changing your trainer to freshen it up and change. And if you're not getting on with the trainer personally, and you think they're not doing something, which AJ's alluded towards, let's be honest. He said that he's too busy at the England squad with the Olympic team. And I get that, and I understand that. If he's not getting one-to-one attention, his full 100% committed attention off his trainer, Rob McCracken, at the time, I can see that annoying him.
Yeah.
I'm the heavyweight champ.
Yeah.
If I want you to, I need you here at this time. You better be here. I'm paying you well. I want you to be here. So they obviously had their own little bit of beef before that all happened. But you can't blame the trainer for having wrong tactics. You have to adapt during the fight, and your trainer will tell you. Do you think Rob McCracken was telling Anthony Joshua to keep boxing and stay behind his jab after round 5 and round 6? Do you think Rob was saying, yeah, get behind the jab and keep running? That's it, yeah. Keep holding. Keep out of the way, yeah. Don't throw any shots.
Yeah.
Keep not throwing shots, Anthony Joshua. Don't throw any more shots. You're doing all right. He lost every round. He was losing. After round 5, 6, you've got to go to your corner and think to yourself, I've got to listen to my coach. And what Rob would have been saying was, put the double jab together, put the right hand behind it. And when you put the double jab in the right hand, it sounds dead simple and easy. But if you do throw the double jab in the right hand, and the right hand connects, what happens then? Do you need to be told to then throw a left, right up, left uppercut, right uppercut, 2 body shots, stick the nut in, follow through with the elbow where you can, get rough, and then go for the finish? You don't need to be told that. That happens naturally, subconsciously.
Instinctive. Yeah.
The fight is instinctive. So Rob would have been telling him, you've got to get to work. You've got to put your shots together. Try and get behind that double jab, put the right hand on it. Then, you know what I mean? And he wasn't listening because he couldn't do it because he wasn't good enough.
Do you think Anthony Joshua can rediscover himself, find that Anthony Joshua of old, that as in that, overcome that psychological damage? The question I want to ask you, Cole, probably is, and you'll be the best person to answer this, is that when a fighter gets psychological damage, and they start becoming a little bit hesitant, and they're not, they don't roll the dice like they used to, they won't, take that opportunity. Can they overcome that?
There's difficult questions that there's questions that I can't answer, like what's it like to come back from a knockout?
Yeah, because you never suffered with that.
So I've never been knocked out.
Yeah.
I've been knocked down twice in my career, got up to win. I'm going to blow a bit of smoke up my arse now. And I've never gone in the ring and been tentative and been worried about getting hit or hurt. I just never have, because that's just how I was. That's how I thought. I've got it on the chin a couple of times. I got knocked down twice in my career. Jermaine Taylor, and who was the second one that dropped me? You remember him? Kid from Shepherd's Bush. George Groves, that's the kid. Groves, yeah. So I got knocked down twice.
A heavy knockdown, haven't it?
Big shot.
Fair
play to him. Let's not talk about Groves. We'll be here all day. But go on, ask me. You can have one question about Groves.
Just wanted one. I wanted to know, when he hit you with that shot in that first round, I was sitting at ringside, and I'm sure you was actually asleep before you touched the canvas.
I might have
somehow
I can't remember.
You woke up.
Believe it or not, I can't remember a thing. I watch that fight now, and I think, well, that was a good fight.
Yeah, well,
I can't remember
that was
being
incredible,
there.
mate. But
I think it's called amnesia.
We'll come back to that. But yeah, no, the question I asked you was, can Anthony Joshua overcome the psychological damage?
Yeah.
Do you think that he can? I
it's
know
possible.
that you've not
It's
experienced
possible,
it.
innit? Because you see fighters in the past get knocked out and come back. Lennox Lewis got done by Hassim Rahman. I think Oliver McCall knocked him out of his eyes and then come back. Yeah. So we know it can be done. We know a human being can do it, but can Anthony Joshua's brain bring him to coming back from such a big...
Do you think the Dillian Whyte fight's a good fight to take at this stage, going into the Wilder fight?
I think it's a good fight for the pure fact that Whyte will come and try and win. And Anthony Joshua needs to show us a lot more than what he's been showing us in the back-to-back defeats with Usyk and the fight against Jermaine Franklin. We need to see more. Do
you think Dillian Whyte's the guy to bring that out of him, and do you think that we'll see that on the August the 12th?
I hope
because
so.
If anyone can bring it out of him, I think Dillian Whyte, with the rivalry and everything else,
That's why I think this is a good fight. That's why I think it's an exciting fight. It's not a huge fight. It's not for world titles. They've both been beat, like I said earlier. But it's still a fight that I want to watch, and it's still a fight I'm going to get excited by because I want to see what Anthony Joshua has got left in a fight where he's in with somebody who wants to actually really come and beat him.
Let's move on now to this other heavyweight title fight that's happening out in Poland. Alexander Usyk going in against Daniel Dubois. Frank Warren strongly believes, actually, that Dubois could pull off a victory. Do you?
Well, listen, it's a 2-horse race and anything can happen. That's what I'd say about that. But if you look at the statistics and the facts, Alexander Usyk is the former unified, undisputed cruiserweight champion after having an outstanding amateur career, including an Olympic gold medal. So he's of stock where you'd say is exceptional, like Gennady Golovkin, who's the guy that's just beat Teofimo Lopez? He lost to Teofimo Lopez. I'm having a mind blank with the Ukrainian. Yeah, Vasily Lomachenko. Yeah. He's of that stock.
Yeah.
Where you'd say Usyk's just
like that pedigree that he had as an amateur.
It's just
brilliant. Boxing at that World Boxing Series, etc., etc. It's just has made him the fighter that he is. Like the adaptability that he's got is incredible.
Brilliant. And on paper and in logic, boxing logic tells you that Dubois can't beat Usyk. That's what it tells you. And that's usually how it works. So 9 times out of 10, maybe even 95 times out of 100, Usyk will beat Dubois. So the odds are massively stacked against Dubois. What I will say is Dubois can punch really hard. He's a big heavyweight, and he's going to be coming in believing. He's going to have a go, and he's going to try and win. And we've seen bigger upsets. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Probably not. Actually, have we seen bigger? Maybe not. Maybe we haven't seen bigger upsets. But this could potentially be a massive upset because Usyk's what, 35?
Yeah. Dubois is a young man. That's what I'm saying. Was Dubois 25?
Anything can happen, mate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But when you're young, you're sort of fearless, aren't you? You know, as a fighter, your mindset changes when you get older. When you're younger, you sort of like, you're fearless. You go in there and you do. When you're older, you start thinking a little bit more. Like Alexander Usyk does. He's a thinking fighter. He likes to work things out. Doesn't take any risks and slowly slips into a rhythm and works.
This is one of them fights where when it's first made, you think, oh, mismatch, easy work for Usyk. And then as it gets closer to the fight, you start thinking, oh, hang on a minute. Dubois is quite a big lump. Yeah. He's young and fresh and he can punch. So, yeah, hopefully Dubois can put in a good shift and make a good show for himself. But the bookies' odds, I think it's 12 to 1 on for Usyk. I think they're probably correct.
How highly do you rate Usyk? Do you think he's as good as what people say? You know, like the casual fan, not a lot of casual fans will really know about Alexander Usyk and how good he actually is. How good is he, Cole?
I think Usyk has been unbelievable. Like I said, he's been brilliant, one of the best. Comparing with Lomachenko, but Lomachenko got beat. Anybody can get beat, and I think that Usyk, and people might argue with this and say, "Oh, what's Froch on about? He's chatting nonsense." Usyk's past his best, so he's past his best because he has to be, because physically, I know heavyweights can go into the late 30s, early 40s, but he's not as a cruiserweight. I stand next to Usyk, and he's like 6'2", 6'3", and I look at him and I think, yeah, I fancy my chances. Not in a boxing ring, in a street fight. He'd probably hammer me. But what I'm saying is, when I size somebody up, I think to myself, I could have a go here, get hold of him, have a ruffle, have a roll around on the cobbles, for example. You look at someone like Tyson Fury. When I stand next to Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua,
he's a giant.
I just think, I'm all right, to be honest. I'll let you have that one. Too big, too physically big and strong, and they get hold of you, and they ragdoll you, and they put you in a box and send you off to wherever they want to send you to. And that's what Anthony Joshua should have done to Usyk in the rematch. Used his size and strength, and that's why it was so frustrating to watch. But I don't know if he's got it in the tank, unless he has a great camp. And we've changed the subject there a little bit. We've bounced around.
That's right. We're bouncing around the heavyweights. Let's continue with that, with the whole of the heavyweight landscape right now. Can Usyk come out on top with all the heavyweights? That's the $1 million question. Will he be good enough for someone like Tyson Fury?
Because he's past his best, but so's Fury. Fury's 35, looking at the payday now, fighting Ngannou, getting more weight around his body and his love handles, looking more fleshy, looking a bit slower on his feet. It happens to us all. We're all human. Believe it or not, I'm 46 years old. Look how shocked he is. You wouldn't believe it, would you?
Mate, you're older than me now.
No chance.
Huh?
I'm not older than you.
You're older than me.
It just shows you, doesn't it? I mean, I'm joking. But that's what I'm saying about this fight and the heavyweight crop at the minute. Yeah. They're all kind of on the slide and might be slightly past their best. But I think Tyson Fury still comes out on top.
You do?
Yeah, because of the size of him. Right. Not just the size of him. He's brilliant. But he's not only is he brilliant, he can box, he's light on his feet, he's got quick hands, and he can punch a bit as well.
Do we get these fights made in Saudi?
He's also massive.
Do you think that we see these fights in Saudi? If all these guys come through, which I expect that they will do, will we get the fights that we wanted to see? Alexander Usyk, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, out inside Saudi, possibly February, March time. Do you think it happens?
Hopefully not in Saudi. I hope the fights happen, but I think if we're going to have an undisputed, unified heavyweight champion, I think that fight needs to take place on British soil.
Cole? It's been a pleasure, mate. It's been a bit of fun.
Have we done?
Yeah, we're done, mate. We're done. That's it for episode number 34. Remember, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your remarks, comments. Comments. Leave your comments in the boxes below. We're done, Cobra.
Enjoyed it. Nice one.
That's good fun.